Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first Your Career Plus webinar of 2024. If you are coming back from last year, welcome back. And if you're new here, Your Accounting Plus was created to bridge the gap between education and real world experiences by giving Black, African American, Hispanic, and Latino students access to accounting professionals who look like them and who have already gone through the journey to provide invaluable guidance that helps students navigate their path toward accounting more effectively. We want students to walk away with actionable advice that they can then use the Accounting Plus platform and other resources to help them begin to implement what they've learned. So with us today, we have Claudia Sanchez. She works for a Big Four accounting firm, and she has a lot of juicy tidbits and advice to share with us today. Specifically, we're talking about standardized test scores, acceptance letters, internship interviews, and more. She's going to help us learn about the process, resources, techniques, and other things that can arm you guys to be as successful as you possibly can. So, Claudia, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Taylor, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And thank you for creating a space where we can talk about the different resources that county has. I think that's always been my thing is share resources because when I was in high school and college, didn't realize there were so many different resources out there. So happy to be here. Um, a little bit of myself. I'm not a normal. I wasn't a normal student when I was in high school. I was actually a trouble kid. So I'm happy to share a little bit of my story throughout our conversation here. And the way that I started in accounting was I changed careers or majors so many different times. And throughout my community college career, I had the worst grades that a student could possibly have. So I think through our conversation here today is I'm going to share a little bit of my story so that you can learn from it, take the good and the bad, and don't make the same mistakes that I did. Again, the way that I started in accounting was I was in community college and I actually found a mentor. Uh, Given that I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have guidance even before in high school and everything else. It was new to me. And I actually got to experience an internship at a University of Southern California, where the project was they were building a software for the accounting software for the finance department. So I was able to spend a year with the staff there, and I didn't realize they were all CPAs. And I saw myself, and I said, you know what? You get to work with a lot of smart people. The culture is very nice to work with. And I said, I'll pursue accounting. And again, I changed my major so many different times, and I can talk about it for a very long time. And I decided to stick with accounting, and I think it's the best thing that I've done in my career life.
Now, I do know a little bit about your backstory. You were a first generation college student, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about what that experience was like for you and how you were able to navigate college, accessing a career in accounting, considering the fact that you had no one in your family that you can reference?
Yeah, it was very challenging actually. As as you can tell, uh, our culture is not only it's we our culture is a little different. When our parents, like my mom, I can talk about my mother, is she migrated here when she was 20, and she already had her family, and she left us back home because she knew that there was a better life here. But keep in mind that as a single mother, your responsibility is trying to make sure that your kids that you feed your kids. My sister was grew up here, was born here. So her goal was to make sure that we were taken care of. Her kids were taken care of, that they had food on the table. My mom didn't even go past middle school in my home country. So who do you reach out to when you're trying to navigate through school? When there's a language barrier, she has a language barrier too. And the different resources, there was an awareness when I was growing up, awareness of what to do, what exams to take, or what advantages exams can give to you. So it's navigating through my career. It was very challenging, because I feel being the first gen, you don't really know what's happening. Your mother is as lost as you are. So, but I think walking together said, okay, we'll get through this. It's and knowing that my mother was there, I think it made a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that a little bit because me and my siblings were also first generation. My mom immigrated here when she was 20, so about the same age as your mom. And she didn't go to college until she was in her 40s. And so I when I was starting to navigate the college process and figuring out how I was going to transition from high school to college and what resources I should use to help me find my career path and things like that, fortunately, I had older brothers that I was kind of able to see, like, at least how to apply for college, but they went a different route than I did. And so I really had to rely heavily on the resources in my community and at school, and like really being active in attending career fairs and sitting down with my guidance counselors and starting as early as I can and internships and things like that. And so similar to you, it's like you kind of have to you're tasked with figuring out how what resources are, even exist, and then how to use those resources. And same with you. I'm happy that I had my mom as a support, even though she didn't go through the process yet. I'm so happy that I had her there.
Yeah, and touching back on resources, I, at a university level, it's a little bit different. I think at least it was for me. Not only was I was very active. As soon as I transferred, my mentor sat down with me and said, "Okay, you want a career job? Not with those grades. You have to change. You have to change those grades. You have to work your butt off,
Yeah.
because what's going to make a difference if you do get that career job is that GPA." So once I transferred from community college to, which it took a while because I had three jobs. I was taking one class here and there, so school wasn't my priority at that moment. But once I made the decision, I transferred school and said, I don't care how I'm going to afford to pay for college, but I will go. So I transferred, and that's when I started to notice that the school had a lot of resources, not just for accounting students, for any students. There's career fair, just like what you mentioned, and there was different clubs, and if you go with the mentality, we're like, I'm here to learn. And I've always thought that I've never had mentors before, and my while I was at the university, kind of changed my perspective and said, this is what mentor
Hmm.
is to help you navigate through the challenges that you face. And it's interesting to know that it is. Talking about the challenges within the school, there was a student, because I'm still very involved with college students through the CPA Society. As you know, that I'm part of many things within the nonprofit, which is the CPA Society. Is the student asked me, is it worth um, going through master's program? Is it worth through going through college? And I always say, and which is interesting, is because school helps you with how to deal with challenging situations.
Sure.
right. So it prepares you for the real world, and I think having mentors, um, learning what resources are available within the school. And my school was primarily, African American, Latino. It's how do you navigate through the resources? There's resources available for you. It doesn't matter if you're an accounting student, if you're English major student. But I think what really got me into accounting is I was trying to figure out, okay, what exactly do I want? How do you know what you want? I don't
Mhm.
I don't even know what I at that moment. I don't even know what I was good at. So it's very challenging, and sometimes you're forced as a student, like you need to pick a major, you need to know what you want. I don't up to this moment, I still don't know what I want, but I stick to one thing and it's worked out. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's not a right or wrong way to go about it. I know a lot of students, and my path is a little different. Given I'm not even from the U.S. I migrated here when I was 11, so again, it's taking advantage of the resources available and talking to people, trying to figure out like, okay, you know, what can I get from this? What can I learn from this? And what can I use it on my own advantage on while you're in school? I think that's always been my thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement there. And I really like that you touched on the fact that your first step into post high school academia was community college. I think that that is not a route that is commonly spoken about, but it is a route that is commonly taken. And I think that, it is worth mentioning that that is an absolute valid pathway into accounting. As you said, there's not just one way. It's not, there's no real right or wrong. It's just your journey and how you ended up getting there. And so
Mm-hmm.
knowing that we live in an information overload world and there are so many different paths into accounting, what would you say your advice on how to evaluate what opportunities and programs are the best fit for our listeners?
Yeah, it's an interesting question that you have, Taylor, and it made me realize how was it that I actually picked accounting, or within accounting. There's so many different fields within accounting. I think what I would just advise our students listening now is kind of evaluate your interests. Like what are your interests? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself working with a team? Do you see yourself working more? You like to work more alone on different projects? Um, it's all about like the different interests that you have.
Mhm.
I will research what the different accounting fields are, and I will even search, okay, what does that specific job entail? What do they do on a daily basis? And you can get that from talking to professionals. I think the only thing why I went into accounting, not only because my exposure as an intern when I was in community college, but was there was an accounting association. Every school has it. Is professionals want to talk to you, like professionals will come to my school and they will share the story. We will ask, hey, how is it? What is it you do day to day? What is it that you like about your job? What is it that you don't? And I think having access to professionals, something similar to what we're doing now, kind of helped me figure out like where exactly do I want to go within accounting. But again, I, I always think it's about luck. It's about luck.
Mhm.
It's about the timing. Um, but before even applying, or going into a field, I would just do a little bit more research and talk about location. Where do you want to work? Do you want to stay local? Do you Is the university that you're attending, or what kind of university are you attending? What kind of
Mhm.
resources do they have? What's the community like? If you want to go to away from home, what are some of the challenges that you're going to have? Does the school have a lot of resources where firms want to hire you? I
Right.
think it takes a little bit of research. By the time I graduated, Taylor, I already knew I wanted to work in LA. I really knew that I didn't want to stay locally. That I knew that I wanted to work in a bigger firm.
Hmm.
Um, I I also did an internship in a local CPA firm, and that I got through my CPA society, Cal CPA. Because I've always been very involved as a student. Is not only you talk to professionals, but you get to, people trust you a little bit because you're part of this known organization. And I think, but I did also an internship in tax before going into audit, which is what I do now. And I realized that though I like tax, maybe I wasn't good at it. So you get, try and see what works for you. There's a school that also provides it's a VITA, it's a volunteer income tax assistance program from the IRS that they provide. It's a training program for college students to do taxes for the community. So I did that, and I'm like, oh, I like tax. I'm gonna go into tax. I went and did my internship. I don't think I got the great feedback because I didn't do too well. So you try different things and see what works. You're not
Sure.
stuck to just one thing. And I think that's the beauty about going into accounting is you want to try governmental accounting, you want to try public accounting, which is something that I do, which we service clients. What exactly do you want? And I think it's just, it's the opportunities available at that moment. Because it could be that the firm, let's say during COVID, not a lot of companies were hiring, or something's happening depending of the environment. Are they hiring? One thing that you also keep in mind is, okay, you want to go into accounting. What's the career like in the
Hmm.
long term? Do they pay good? There's a lot of factors that entails on where you want to go. Like I wanted to go to LA. I wanted to work in a bigger firm, but there's older students. I graduated with the master's program, and by the time there's a student that was already a CPA, that's not the path for everybody. There's people have different paths, so it's ultimately it's like what exactly do you want,
Right.
and
Yeah, that
how do you feel yourself? Because you're gonna have access to a lot of professionals, and they're gonna want to hire you right away. And that's the beauty of accounting is you will always have a job. It doesn't matter where within accounting.
that's very true. There's, limitless opportunities in the
Yeah.
field of accounting. And so throughout your career, I would say you have hit a lot of significant milestones, right? Milestone in migrating here, a milestone in graduating high school, a milestone in entering community college, and then pivoting from community college to a four-year institution to continue your journey, and then establishing, that you wanted to be in the accounting profession, right? These are all major milestones that you've hit so far, but you did mention that it took you some time to finish community college. It took you some time to get to where you were because you had to balance everything else that was going on in your life that had nothing to do with your career or academia. And so I know that that is a hot topic for students, especially now because it's easy to get overwhelmed. And so I was wondering if you can share some techniques that you implemented or that maybe in hindsight you wish that you implemented to ensure that you have enough time to prepare for these milestones while also managing your other responsibilities.
That's a good question actually, because up to this moment, I'm still trying to figure out myself. So it's okay. It takes time. It takes practice. Ultimately, I was working three jobs. I was going to the community college. I was getting D's and F's. I had to repeat classes, which I obviously my GPA, show it.
Right.
I think prioritizing what exactly do you want. I know it's challenging going through college and having that thought is like, how am I going to pay for college? As Latinos, if either you're legally here or not, how do you don't receive any, you're not able to get any loans. through FAFSA. You're not able to, maybe not even qualify for grants. So, you're trying to, not only you're trying to navigate, like, how am I going to pay for college? But on top of that, there's so many different things, commitment, family,
Yeah.
it's school priorities. I think ultimately is finding a mentor, finding it could be a professor, it could be um, someone at your university. I also, you have to keep in mind also that sometimes you're going to get people to give you the wrong advice. Or I remember in a community college, I mean, I have great experience at community college, and I still remember. But one counselor told me, "Oh, you're not going to be successful. You have an accent." Or people are going to come and discourage you from doing what you want. But I would say, don't give up. If there's something that you want, which is finish school, you're gonna find a way. I think kind of navigating through the different challenges that you have, like school, family, Latinos, we have to help parents with those, paying with those. I think one advice I would give is kind of prioritize what you want. What do you want to focus on? You can focus on everything at once. Take one step at a time. I think time management kind of helps too. Depending if you have to, work, being a full-time student, not everybody has the same advantage of being a full-time student. And like I did it. I had to work, I had to study, and I had to help mom with paying rent and paying bills. So it's very challenging. But I think prioritizing what you want, kind of taking care of the time management. Don't overwork yourself either. You're gonna get burned out, and you just want to give up. I think I even talk to students in college where they want to do this, they want to do that, the extracurricular material, which is great. But school is first. So again, set your priorities first, and then you have to set your priority first. See what you can do with time management. How can you manage your time better? Kind of also create like a routine, just to kind of keep track of that goal. You don't have to think of a 10-year long goal. It's first, at least for me, I was trying to survive. Through the different things that I was going through, because I was lost as a student. But I think having people and talking to people, kind of being vocal and say, hey, I don't understand this, can you help me? I don't qualify for a grant, but are there any scholarships? Are there any free money that will pay for my books? Or so I think kind of seeing what university, depending, or if you're still in a community college, there's a lot of scholarships, and it's free money for you.
Yeah.
I
You
will
just
take
have to know
advantage
how to
of
take
those.
advantage of it.
Yeah. I will definitely take advantage of those. I know how CPA provides, they have resources for you, for students. So when I was studying as an undergrad, as a graduate student, they have resources for you. Not only they provide, professionals coming talking to you, but they provide money. So I would definitely take advantage of those. Another thing that I would advise is, don't overwork yourself. Take a break. I know at the universities, they provide a gym. I don't get discouraged. I think don't get discouraged if you're feeling overwhelmed. I think being able to deal with those at first, it's just gonna help you with the actual real world, because family is gonna happen, things are gonna happen, life is gonna happen. Setting the habits, and this is what my mentor tells me, is setting the habits in an early age is better. Because you said, okay, I've seen it before. I have to deal with this, and so forth. I think this is just the beginning, kind of teach you how to handle heart better.
Absolutely.
I was watching basketball the other day, me and my partner, because he likes basketball, And there's this coach, Duke University coach from basketball, uh, women basketball coach at Duke University. She was giving a speech about how to handle hard better, how school is supposed to teach you how to handle hard situations better. So life doesn't get better, and I agree because it doesn't. It just gets worse. So
Mhm.
university is supposed to help you how to handle hard situations. Like I mentioned before, I think just don't give up. Life is gonna happen, and you just have to deal with it. You just don't give up.
Yeah, building off of that, we have about 4 minutes left, and we're starting to get some questions from our live audience. And so someone asked, what was the hardest part of sticking with accounting?
The first accounting class, I almost failed. I almost got an F. uh, Accounting is not easy. It is not the most funniest major either, and it's not about numbers.
Mhm.
So that's one thing that I would say. It's not all about numbers.
Now,
It
how did you
is,
navigate since one of your first classes was so difficult? How were you able to navigate how difficult that transition was and preparing for those exams and things like that? What advice could you give our audience?
yeah. So accounting is a required course. Not only one, there's like two, and there's finance and other. Once you declare business a major at a university, you have to take these classes. I didn't understand, and it's okay. I didn't really understand, what debits and credits. It's very challenging. Accounting is challenging, but then what got me into accounting even more was you're solving problems because a client comes to you and they don't have the background or knowledge on how to deal with specific challenge that they have for their business, and they're coming to you and say, how can you solve my problem?
Mhm.
So it's not about numbers. It's about solving problems. So I think, if accounting is very challenging, and at the beginning it will be challenging, but after you progress, um, some things are gonna start making sense. Some things are not going to start making sense. I know cost accounting, which is managerial accounting, and it's kind of like the accounting that, let's say, like if you're in a warehouse, there's different things that the measurements that they use, performance. I just didn't understand at all, and I still don't understand that field. So when you go through different courses, you realize, okay, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Oh, this is okay. I see myself doing this. So when you declare, if you haven't declared accounting as a major, you kind of like, once you do and you start taking different courses within accounting, you start realizing this is what I want, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I like. Um,
I
so I
really
think that is one thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
I really, really like that. And I think that that's a great way to conclude this conversation. I like that you mentioned that just because you're not doing well in a class doesn't mean that you are not learning something valuable, right? You're just learning that this specific thing, like for example, tax, you might have liked it, but you weren't good at it. So you knew that that wasn't a route that you should take. And I think that that is a really impactful point of view for students to absorb and try to practice. Not every failure is for nothing. It's as purposeful as you want it to be. um
Yeah, Taylor, if I add, I know we have limited time. Is if you're a student, for our audience today, if you're a student and you're thinking of being majoring in accounting, learning the fundamentals first. Learn the fundamentals, and everything else will come. They will train you at work. They train me every day. So just learning the fundamentals at a once when you're in the university is it's great because everything else will be a little bit easier. But the type of problems you'll be solving, it gets challenging and challenging. And that's when oh, I've seen this before. So it's
mhm.
nothing new to you, and you'll see whatever that you're learning, you will see it at work. So just learn your fundamentals first, and I just with anything, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. Claudia, thank you so much for your time. I think that you have such a unique story and a unique point of view that I think a lot of our listeners and viewers can relate to. You've shared a lot of valuable insights and advice, and I really do appreciate your time. I think that you where you are now at a big four, despite all the obstacles that you've had to overcome, is just a huge testament to your tenacity. And I think that that is a big takeaway for our students. You gotta just grind. You grind to get where you want to go, and you don't lose sight of your
That is
goal.
true. That is
So,
true. If any student have any question in particular in accounting or anything, please feel free to reach out. I'm not sure if you can share my LinkedIn account.
yes.
Uh, Feel free to reach out, or my email. Please feel free to share my email as well. I'm always here. My passion is talking to students. I can talk for hours, I think. But I'm here if you ever have any questions.
Amazing. And any students listening, take her up on that offer. Start building your network now. It's so important for your future. So
Yeah.
thank you guys. It was so nice speaking with all of you. I will see you guys next month.